Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tarnation TV's live broadcast and over here at Rolling Thunder Gaming, season number 66 of the Talladega Challenge. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday evening. My name is Blaine Donlin, joined here by the FRN crew. Tonight it is Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole.
Yeah, thank you, Blaine. I mean, wouldn't it 3 races in the books. 3 different drivers have gone to victory lane, comprised of 2 former champions and a first-time winner. We're fast approaching the midway portion of the regular season. There have been so many storylines in just our first 3 events here. A number of drivers during the course of the last few weeks, they have jumped up through the standings. Others have plummeted. The points are still super close in another full field here tonight, Kyle. I get the feeling that we may end up seeing the continuation of moving and shaking all the way through the standings.
Yeah, I mean, as tight as the points are right now, I mean, one bad race could really cause you to take quite a hit in the point standings. So, yeah, everybody's got to be on their toes here tonight.
We've seen during the course of the last couple of weeks, drivers have now been able to get themselves somewhat acclimated to this brand new pit row, a little bit more spacious on entry, spacious from commitment line to commitment line, allowing them a little bit more luxury of not having the dreaded contact on pit lane that we see a lot of times loses you a ton of track position. We'll see if that holds true in this one as well. We have also seen some exciting racing in the closing stages of this one, whether it be racing back to a race-ending yellow or fuel strategy. We had the opening portions of this season where a lot of drivers seemed like they had the must-win mentality. It was very early on. Everybody was at a level playing field. But now that we're getting towards that midway portion of the regular season, how much more big picture racing comes into play tonight?
I think a lot of drivers will have that on their mind. I mean, sure, they want to go out and score a win, lock up that playoff spot. But good finishes and consistency also goes a long way in the series, as we have seen over the last couple of seasons. So I'm sure they're thinking about that as well.
Full field here tonight. 2 points separate the current points leader to second in the standings. That driver second in points got his first career win 2 weeks ago. That's Denny Carroll, and he lines up on the pole position here tonight. He's going to have a former champion in Richard Martin to his outside on row number 1. Jeffrey Elliott and Donnie Cameron, they're going to make up row 2. Row 3 with Bob Dixon and Mike Mangialardi. Brian Lovell, Ron Haglund, they're in row 4, and the top 10 going to be completed by Robert Breedlove and Glenn Harris. Josh Metallic and Tim Nofsker, they're back in row number 6. Row 7 finds John Godfrey and Craig Hagley. Brian Schilling and Keith Bynum, they're in row 8. Joe DeSpirito, Bernie Mobbs, row 9. Your top 20 will be completed with Ulysses Sandoval and Randy Waugh. There you go. I was going to wonder if you were going to chime in for Michael tonight. Dante Ricky, Chuck McClure, who won the season opener. They're going to be in row number 11. Row 12 finds Greg Palmer and Terry Bombard. Good to see Milt Surratt back in the field tonight. He'll be on the inside of row 16 with Mark Paglia. Row 17 is going to be... making sure I didn't lose count here. Yep, row 17 going to be Jessica Laurley and Bob Seminara, and then completing your top 30 is going to be Rodney Sullins and Doug Hulick. Grant Wesley took the checkered flag here 1 week ago. He's going to be back in row 16 with Robert Spring. Donnie Garrett, who had a top 3 finish last week, he's going to be back in row 17 with Billy Elliser. Jeremy Jeffries, defending champion, he has seemed to draw the short straw on a lot of the random qualifying draws this season, as he will start deep in the field, back in the 35th position, sharing that 18th row with Cody Lamas. Greg Lovell, Brian Rawson, they will be back in row 19, and the completion of the field, the 20th and final row, will be Javier Negron and Pat McCarskey. Obviously, still very early on in the season, but we will, as we get closer towards the midway portion of the regular season, down the home stretch towards the playoffs, we're putting a lot of emphasis on drivers hovering around that 12th in the standings cut line. Donnie Garrett, who had the podium finish 1 week ago, currently holds that position. Jeremy Jeffries is the first driver outside of that line, 1 point difference. So it is still super close around the drivers that may not find the luxury of a checkered flag in the regular season, that are looking to point their way into the playoffs. Going to make things really, really interesting here with these remaining 6 regular season races. 66 laps here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. A couple of Chevrolet Camaros going to bring us down through the tri-oval. Going to make that extra few hundred feet to the start-finish line midway towards the entrance of Turn 1. And race number 4 of Season 66 of the Talladega Challenge Series is green.
Somebody on the apron in the back there. Looks like they're just trying to drop to the back of the field. Couldn't tell who that was.
I believe that was the 84 of Dante Ricky, if I'm not mistaken. Qualified in the 26th position, but fading to the back in the early going here. Maybe just to ride, maybe to save some fuel as well. Though he is dropping rather rapidly still. I'm almost wondering if maybe he missed a shift there on the start. Got Brian Ross and Greg Lovell and Pat McCarskey with him, so should be able to draft up to the tail end of the pack, which right now would be Cody Lamas.
Looks like Richard Martin going to lead lap number 1 there, just barely over Denny Carroll.
That middle line so strong here at Talladega until a third lane forms to their right. So for right now, they have the luxury of the third lane being back outside of the top 20. And no surprise, Brian Schilling is leading that charge in that Kodak throwback number 4 Chevrolet. Looks like Chuck McClure and Jessica Loreley. I knew there was going to be a point this season I was going to screw it up there. She's that third car on the outside line.
I feel like we could have like a jar where we put money in every time we make that mistake.
I'd be broke. Demar in that outside line, still getting that momentum through the tri-oval. Going to lead that lap. Ron Hagelin swaps from 4th in that middle line to now head the extreme outside line through 1 and 2.
All these petty cars up here, the 43, the 143, the 44. Boy, that's a spotter's nightmare right there, if there were actual spotters in this.
A lot of STP logos featured inside of the top 10. Jeffrey Elliott, the wingman for Denny Carroll there on that inside line in the number 56. Bob Dixon right behind him in the 143, and then Brian Lovell 4th in that inside line. We're going to be 3 wide, about 8 rows deep coming across the start-finish line this time, and we've just completed lap number 3.
Looks like that inside line is where you want to be right now. Denny Carroll has a little bit of a lead, doesn't have anybody to his outside for the time being.
Noticing a couple of drivers there, just inside or just outside of the top 10.
As soon as I say that, there comes that far outside line.
Yep, and you see how it's stifled the momentum of that middle groove. Demar was up there 3 wide for the lead when they went to turn 1. There goes Ron Hagelin into Jeffrey Elliott. Elliott's going to pound the inside wall. He's coming back up the track. The field has gone by. We are going to stay green. Like Hagelin was able to get back up onto the racetrack safely as well, right in front of Bob Dixon.
Couldn't quite tell what caused that contact between those two there, but it's a tough break for Jeffrey Elliott. Goes from running inside the top 5 to being all by his lonesome, and that, as you mentioned, that did not bring out a caution flag.
Try and quickly see if we just check back and see what exactly happened. He had Brian Schilling behind him, and it looks like maybe Hagelin brushed the wall coming off of 4, stifled his momentum, and then Schilling was into the back of him. Now, one would have to wonder there, we've talked about this, that where an incident takes place but doesn't necessarily bring out a caution, the driver that is deemed responsible has to do a pass-through penalty under green. Hagelin was up into the wall, got the bump from Brian Schilling, goes down into Jeffrey Elliott. You would kind of wonder, where does the responsibility fall for that incident? If it is the 111, he would have to make sure that he does a pass-through penalty here to avoid a post-race EOL.
Or do they both go? The 4
Maybe.
and the 111 to be
I'm
safe,
not sure.
right?
I also noticed here at the beginning of this lap, looked like Donnie Garrett was on the apron. Not sure what's happened there, and he's way back here, as you can see.
Like he may have actually not taken the green. Looks like he may have just started from pit road.
Jeffrey Elliott has retired from that, yeah.
Yep, was just going to document that. He took a big hit into the inside wall there, almost at full speed.
That's a shame, too, because we had 47 drivers show up tonight, so we had knockout qualifying. So to make the race, it took a little while. And then to be out that early is a shame.
Had a great qualifying effort, too, and was running up inside of the top 5 prior to that contact.
I believe he started in the third position, if memory serves me correct. They were right outside the top 3. But speaking of qualifying, how about Jessica Loreley? She didn't get that good of a qualifying draw. Started back in, 28th, 29th or something. Here she is right inside the top 5. So
right behind her, Bob Seminara, too. We ended up documenting last week. Seminara, he was third in points going into that race, was having some hardware issues, was not able to get into the suburb to qualifying, being kicked forward. Subsequently, he comes into tonight's race, previously third, now currently had his name, and I just lost it, 15th in the point standings. So that's a lot of positions to lose when there's something completely out of your control. So he's trying to get those points back here tonight.
You had a little bit of fun with him and Jessica during practice earlier.
You call it fun. I don't know if a blowover is fun. I had Jess to my outside, Bob to my inside. I knew what was going to happen.
I'm just focused on the 4, Schilling leading this thing. Last week we had some technical difficulties, and we missed what happened to him. He qualified, I think he qualified 4th in that race, and he ended up finishing 3rd. But
and
Schilling,
that was after he slid on his roof for a portion of the tri-oval.
We're going to show you right now a replay of what happened. It's like lap 27 of last week's race. Somehow he finished 3rd after this.
He qualified
3rd and finished 4th.
And we talk about how difficult it is to gauge, based off of impact in a wreck, specifically at a super speedway, whether a driver is going to be up to speed or not. Obviously, visibly, it would look like Schilling's done for the night. But to your point, that car was just as stout as it was when it took the green flag and brought it home with a solid result. Subsequently, Schilling 4th in the stands coming tonight, 16 points out of the points lead.
And I wonder about that, too. That replay's hilarious because he's spinning around on the side of the car and then must just drop a gear or 2, put it to the floor, and just drive out of it.
Yep. That's amazing. Drivers can have 2 wheels, all 4 wheels off the ground. I guarantee you they never stop driving the race car.
Nope, it's not over until you slap the inside wall really hard, like Jeff Elliott just did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until you know that engine is pretty much going to continue to tough it out and drive it, and we'll end up seeing that, I think, during the course of this season as well, with the points as close as they are. You may have a car that's 15, 20 miles per hour off the pace. You may have the field blow your doors off every 4 laps, but you're going to stay out there and tough it out just in case a race of attrition continues and you're able to maybe vulture your way a couple of spots, some valuable points. It could be the difference maker between whether you're going championship racing in the playoffs or not.
Of course, looking here, this is one of the weeks where they're running a bunch of throwback paint schemes, and this race right now looks like a throwback to the early to mid-90s with that number 4 Kodak Chevrolet out in front at Talladega. It's quite the familiar sight during that time, whether it be Ernie Irvin driving or Sterling Marlin. And Brian Schilling, looks just like him right now.
So if you're Chuck McClure, you're flanked by Sterling Marlin cars, I guess, if we're going to call the 4 Sterling Marlin as well.
Very well could say that, yes.
Yeah, I always remember Sterling driving that Coors Light.
Got Donnie Garrett up ahead of the leaders. Right now, Donnie is 2 laps down. He will more than likely go a 3rd lap down. We'll have to check and see here if, not sure what the circumstances were of Donnie missing the green flag, but we'll have to see. Normally when something like that happens, they end up getting a driver all of their laps back but one. They might be actually waiting until they lap Donnie right here, have him mesh in with the pack, and then get him to all but one, so that way he's going to still be up to speed. He'd be the only driver right now eligible for the free pass, as everybody else is currently on the lead lap. It looks like they kind of have given up on that second lane. I was noticing Jessica Loralee was able to get up alongside of Brian Lovell for 4th, but they weren't able to make a whole lot of progress outside of that. Now she and Seminara have moved down to the inside line. The Dale Jr. throwback of Glenn Harris is now leading that second lane.
It's an interesting paint scheme on that number 8. It's not Budweiser, the sponsor.
No, that's Krispy Kreme. We've also got a caution out. First time tonight, and it's Garrett, who had just gotten lapped by the leaders to be put -3.
We were focused on Garrett, and he actually looked like he bounced off the 111 there for a split second, but nothing happened.
Yeah, it was like while he was trying to gather it back up, might have come down into the tent of Terry Bombard. He thought he might have been clear on Terry, and Terry was still very much so to his left rear quarter panel.
And I was just informed right before this caution came out that they were going to give Donnie Garrett all but 1 lap back, but I don't know if him bringing out the caution, I don't know if that changes anything or not.
Well, they probably will still give him all but 1 lap. Question is, would being involved in this put him in eligibility for the lucky dog to get the lap back that he would have been down before, or I'm sorry, after they gave him all but 1 back? A pretty significant hit there as well. Some pretty good left side damage on his Ultimate Garage Floors Chevrolet Camaro there, 1 week removed from that podium finish.
Looks like everybody's coming to pit road. I was also informed that they were about 6 laps away from from pitting to begin with. So this is a pretty timely caution for everybody.
So they'll make their way down pit road here. Brian Schilling will bring the field down. What a shout out, Jeff Crivello as well. We were kind of wondering what was going on with Dante Ricci on the initial start of this race. I was informed that there was actually a screen freeze for Dante when they took the green flag. So he very astutely moved to the inside, got out of the way of the oncoming traffic, waited for his game to unfreeze before merging back with the field. And obviously, as we saw, did not fall a lap down with the help of about 3 or 4 cars behind him, was able to stay up in the lead pack. So crisis averted there for Dante.
A couple cars staying out right now. Brian Rawson in the 6, Cody Lamas in the 48, 10 of Bombard right there, and Donnie Garrett, who brought out the caution.
Rawson getting himself a lap-led bonus point. Brian Rawson, a 3-time winner here in the Talladega Challenge Series. It was a couple of seasons ago that we ended up seeing him have a career year, made it into the playoffs as well, advanced as far as the round of 8, almost made it into the final 4. Trying to find a little of that magic here this season as Brian comes into this race 18th in the standings, and you kind of look at him and Cody Lamas both. These are 2 drivers that like to start the rear of the field. When they end up doing the random qualifying draw, a number of drivers that want to start at the back, they'll actually leave the server, so that way when qualifying is kicked forward, it will automatically generate them the final spots on the grid. And these are 2 drivers that seem to do that every single week. It seems to have worked out for them, at least on a bit of a positive note here in these first 3 races. Mentioned Brian Rawson coming into this race 18th in points, Cody Lamas 19th in points. So while they haven't had barn burners start of the season, and consistent enough that they're still up in that conversation to try and point their way up into the top 12 in the standings.
It's really not a bad strategy to do what they do during qualifying. Sometimes you just don't feel comfortable starting up front or in the middle of the pack. Just might want to just hang out for a little bit in the back, just get a feel for how everybody's racing before you decide to move your way up there.
I'm wondering if Mark Paglia might have missed his pit stall there and had to come back around. We see him coming down pit road once again.
Looks like our pole sitter, Denny Carroll, won the race off pit road.
He'll be the control car here. Looks like he's going to take the inside line for the upcoming restart. Schilling, who was the leader when the caution came out, will line up to his outside in second. Brian Lovell going to line up behind Carroll in row 2 with Chuck McClure on the top side of that second row. You see just above Jessica Lorley there in 6th position is Tim Nofsker. We documented a number of drivers that kind of fell through the point standings after either not making the race last week or not finishing all that well. Nofsker was not here in last Thursday night's event as his Buffalo Bills were in action on Thursday Night Football. Subsequently, Nofsker coming 31st in points, so he's got some work to do here, but Nofsker, a former champion of the series as well. And you kind of consider this as well, Kyle. When we talk about the regular season, this season, it is going to be a full 9 races. We've had seasons where it's fallen on a Thursday night being on a holiday or something where they've had to take an off week. There have been seasons we've had to take 2 off weeks and had only 7 regular season races. Having the luxury here of 9 full regular season races, it does maybe allow these drivers that haven't had the best 3 starts here to start off season 66, doesn't necessarily have them in panic mode yet. Still plenty of time to work with.
Yeah, it gives them a couple of extra chances to, either get some consistency going or to find a way to win a race too. To kind of save their season, as you will. So, yeah, I'm sure everybody is very happy that we have 9 races here in the regular season.
Looking at the way they're lining up here, looks like all 3 of our former winners on the season going to restart inside of the top 10. Carroll on the pole position here for the restart. McClure in 4th and Grant Wesley in 9th. It's not unheard of in the first 4 races for us to have a multi-time winner, and certainly all 3 of those drivers would like to be the first one to do that here in season 66. We should get the lights out on the pace car this time by that beautifully painted David Cannon Tribute Chevrolet Camaro. And indeed, we have got the 1 to green indication.
And we saw Donnie Garrett go by everybody, so I'm guessing he's back on the lead lap now. Must have gotten the free pass under that caution, and plus getting the 2 laps back that he missed for missing the start.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for scoring to update. When he crossed the line that last time by, they still have him scored -2. We'll have to see when we go back green and they cross the start-finish line where it actually scores him, whether it scores him on the lead lap or whether it scores him still 1 lap down. Granted, they are not able to add laps back to him via a command under caution. They would have to do that under green flag conditions, so maybe trying to get him at least 1 of those laps back here under this yellow flag, as it looks like he is now caught up to the tail end of the field. We'll have to see how up to speed he's going to be there as well, because a lot of times here we've seen some pretty significant wrecks and we've not necessarily seen visible damage on race cars, so it makes it difficult to gauge whether up to speed or not. There was definitely quite a cave-in on that driver's side door when he tank slapped the outside wall off the final corner, so we'll see if there's any aero damage he'll have to deal with the remainder of this race, or if that thing is back up to racing par here and going to still be competitive for the rest of the night.
We'll see what his pit crew was able to do under that caution.
Yeah, he slapped the wall, but the wall slapped him back.
It did.
Yeah, the wall doesn't wall doesn't take any crap from anybody. I know this from experience, but
safer barrier or otherwise.
Yeah.
How safe can it be when you're sliding into it 191 miles an hour?
Yeah.
Safer in quotation marks.
Barrier, yeah. Safer than it would have been if it was concrete.
Question mark? Safe for the driver, maybe not so safe for the race car. Denny Carroll, Brian Schilling, get ready to put us back under the green. 17 laps completed. Good launch on that inside line there for Carroll. Loses touch with Brian Lovell, though, just a bit. We'll see if that's going to hurt their exit off of turn 2, although there is quite a bit of daylight from Schilling back to McClure as well.
Boy, level getting a little bit unstable there, but able to save it.
Like the first 5 rows all organized. Everybody else mid-pack trying to draft their way up. Maybe a little bit of stack up there, some check up going through the first couple of corners on this restart. A lot of give and take here, making sure that we can go into another nice long green flag run. Had 14 laps under green flag conditions there. The opening start of tonight's race. And again, we see that middle line, get that momentum specifically off of 4 and through the tri-oval, about half a car length advantage, Schilling leading that lap over Denny Carroll.
Already getting a third line foreman right there. Looks like I was going to say Josh Metelic was going to be leading it, but somebody jumped up in front of him, so we're going to have 3 lines up here before too long.
Now the Robbie Gordon Singular Wireless Chevrolet of Bernie Mobbs up there. Metallic, to your point, that Ryan Newman throwback. Doug Hewlick, Ulysses Sandoval. Now add in Randy Watt to that conversation. Drivers in that middle line there, 5 of them. Got to know that that third line is forming. Many of them also jump and try and use that momentum to push the wide right now for the 5th position, as almost a meeting of the Anheuser. Well, actually, no. I don't think Coors Light is an Anheuser-Busch beer. So.
No.
Yeah, so I'll just say the beer throwback schemes there. Glenn Harris and the Coors throwback of Denny Carroll, they almost traded a little paint.
Everybody else looks content to stay in the line that they're in for the time being. 8 car might be thinking about getting up in front of that 21.
Got Donnie Cameron in the 87 right behind him. Donnie Cameron coming off a super speedway victory. I believe it was last night in open speedway racing. But he's in the sucker hole right now, and he is getting freight trained on both sides. Glenn Harris was actually able to clear Randy Waugh to get up there in front of the 21. Look at the ground that they've lost here to that top 6, top 7.
It's like that middle line up front is trying to start something, I believe. Yes, the 17 of Jessica Lorley leading that group. She's got Bob Dixon and Grant Wesley right behind her. Richard Barton also in that battle. I believe that's Bob Dixon behind him.
Trying to get that middle line going again. We end up seeing them try this back during that first run and didn't make much progress. Definitely looks like they've got a lot better momentum this time down the back straightaway as Jess will pull up to the right rear quarter panel of Nofsker, who gets a little loose. Got those left sides down on that yellow line, a little squirrely on the apron. Wide mid-pack, but it looks like most of that's dissipating. They're getting themselves sorted back out to double wide outside of the top 20. Glenn Harris is paying the major prices. He is getting freight trained outside of the top 25, maybe even out of the top 30. A couple new faces popping up here inside of our top 10. That Jamie Murray throwback of Billy Elliser, and right behind him, the Randy LaJoie throwback of John Godfrey. Joe DeSpirito, also 5th car on that outside line. Turn 3 has not been Nofsker's friend these last couple of laps.
Boy, Nofsker and Wesley got extremely close right there, but they did a great job of saving it. We have a battle for the lead. Lorley getting a nice push there from Samanera, drawing even with Schilling on the bottom. I believe Schilling is going to lead this lap just barely.
Waiting for scoring to say just how close that was. Visibly, it was maybe about a wheel Schilling over Loreley. And we are all gridlocked double wide all the way through the field now. As soon as I say that, Dante Ricky going to jump up to that third line, back from around the 15th position.
Jessica got a nice push there from Seminara. Now she's clearly out in the lead.
Third line starting to form again. Randy Waugh going back up there to the top along with Dante Ricky. I saw Greg Palmer also moving his way up there. It's clear across the line. First lap of the evening for Jessica Loralee. Bob Seminara was almost clear for second place, but Schilling will bring that inside line back up alongside for second position. And now Loralee and Seminara are going to jump down there to the inside line in front of Brian Schilling. Now Grant Wesley in that Quaker State Chevrolet going to lead that respective lane. And I almost wonder, you see that 21, yeah, you see there DeMar moving down to the inside. I think these drivers are all realizing, that third line is coming. It's going to drag back the middle line. Let's get to the inside while we can, not get stuck in that sucker hole.
What about that fuel window too, right? They might be lining that up.
Yeah, we went back green on lap 18, so we're about almost halfway through a fuel run right now. Looked like there was some smoke right there on the back straightaway. Some smoke or some dust. I'm not sure exactly what that was all about, though Pat McCarskey is a long ways back behind the field. Might have had a spin off of turn 2. And indeed we did, yeah, McCarskey on that previous lap. Gonna get a little help, it looks like from Cody Lamas, gets a bump off the exit of the corner. McCarskey gonna pound the inside wall with that Red Panda Racing Dodge, and it was deemed off the racing surface, so no caution going to fly for that, but up right there from McCarskey, and I have to see if Lamas might have to do a pass-through penalty. Oh,
big
there's
trouble.
a wreck in the middle of the pack. Brian Rawson is up in the air. Javier Drone, Ulysses Sandoval also got a piece of that, I believe. Oh, nope, it was actually Milt Surratt, the other tied car. Looks like maybe only 3 or 4 drivers involved in that one, but 6 definitely caught some air, and the caution's going to come out for the second time here tonight. Big break for Pat McCarskey, who now will be able to repairs to his machine under caution and still will be on the lead lap. I believe this incident's going to start around Ulysses Sandoval and Brian Rawson. Oh, bumper grab in the middle line.
Jeffries came up into somebody right there, and that's what...
I think he's going to bumper grab off the back of Grant Wesley and comes up into Doug Hewlick. Nowhere for Sandoval to go as he comes down across the nose of Brian Rawson. Rawson's going to clip Milt Surratt, catches some air in the process.
Don't see any damage to anybody, though. I mean, saw the 6 and the 80 get a little bit of air. Not sure how much damage they got, but I think it looks like everybody escaped fairly well.
It's like pretty minimal damage for all drivers involved. And of course, with the adventure Brian Schilling had last week, can't count anybody out at this point with what went down there in that wreck. I don't know if Sandoval, let me just double check. We saw him kind of dart down to the inside. I don't think he hit the inside wall. I think he was able to avoid making any contact down there. All that runoff area, yeah, he's good. That dreaded bump grab comes back into play once again. And it looks like both Grant Wesley and Jeremy Jeffries, not sure who that would end up being called on. So they're both going to stay out the extra lap and pit the second time by to avoid any post-race penalties. Terry Bombard stays out an extra lap, and he'll get himself a bonus point. Terry was a playoff contender last year, pointed his way into the postseason. This season, 3 races in, 20th in points, with 1 top 5, and that's his only top 10 at this current point in time.
What is the 77 scored as?
1 lap down. So
One lap
should
down,
be the
so
free
okay.
pass this time by and should get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, I was informed he was getting the free pass. I didn't know how many laps he got back under that last caution there. So, yeah, that should put him back on the lead lap.
And that would put all 39 drivers that are still running on the lead lap here as we approach the halfway point here tonight. So far, checking in on our lap leaders, Brian Schilling is the only driver that has led double-digit laps as he's been out in front for 13 circuits. Jessica Loralee with 6. I'm sorry, correction, that's Denny Carroll with 6. 3 for Chuck McClure, 2 for Richard Martin, and then 1 each for the current race leader Terry Bombard, Brian Rawson, Jessica Loralee, Bob Seminara have all taken turns out in front, whether it be under green flag conditions or some strategy here under caution. Only the second yellow flag so far here tonight, so hasn't been much opportunity for those kinds of gamesmanships to get that lap-led bonus point so far.
Just showing on the screen here, September 27th, man. You and I will be broadcasting this Saturday for Nate Balser, Race for the Cure. And I'll put a QR code on screen. If you want to donate, they've already met the goal, but that doesn't mean you can't still give more money. So if you got a couple bucks burning a hole in your pocket, either scan that QR code on your screen right now, or there's also a link in the description below to donate to the breast cancer awareness race that Nate has put together.
Absolutely incredible that they've already reached that goal there.
Yep. 9 o'clock start, I believe.
Yes, indeed.
On Saturday the 27th, and I think it's like an 85 lap race, so it's a big race.
Still no word if they're running involved.
Still no word if they're running 1X or 2X on the pit frequency, but I guess we'll find that out on Saturday night.
Absolutely. You and I have had the privilege of calling those races here multiple years, and it obviously we enjoy when we end up doing, whether it's a special event race or whether it's a weekly race like we see here for the Talladega Challenge Series, but when it's a race that's got a cause like that behind it, just makes it all the more special. And yeah, it's amazing that they were able to reach their goal before we've even gone live for the broadcast. But definitely tune in and let's blow that goal out of the wire. Let's double that goal. Why not?
What's fun about those races too is they tend to get the donations kind of trickling in till the event goes live, and then while it's live, we seem to just get tons, because then there's a lot of people watching that might not really be into this NASCAR Racing 2003 simulator that we all know and love. So then you've got new eyes watching it, and they're tossing down donations as well. So yeah, definitely stay tuned to Flatout Racing Network on Saturday night to catch that thing live.
Definitely looking forward to that one for sure. Nate Balser's done an incredible job in organizing it. Primetime Racing League going to be executing it this Saturday night. Looking forward to it. Cannot wait.
Wesley headed to the pits.
I think this is strategy for Grant Wesley. We saw Jeremy Jeffries come to pit road the second lap around, which if you feel that you're responsible for an incident, that's how you take your voluntary EOL and start at the rear of the field. Grant Wesley, however, decided to stay out that extra lap, and I think this is a fuel strategy call for the 88 car, because he could have come down pit road with Jeremy Jeffries on the second lap of pacing, but he decided to stay out that extra lap. Now, granted, it also gets him a bonus point for a lap led. He hasn't led previously here tonight, but think about this. Grant has already got a victory last week. Now he could be setting his sights on that regular season championship. So why not try something a little bit outside of the box here? You've got the luxury of being locked into the playoffs. If this strategy pans out, you could be a two-time winner by the end of the night.
Yeah, but what do you got to lose at that point? So nothing to lose, everything to gain.
At number 1 pit stall, getting the pole position here tonight has really worked out for Denny Carroll. This is the second caution that he came down pit road, not as the leader, but left pit road in P1. He'll have Brian Schilling To his outside, Jessica Laura Lee and Bob Seminara going to be in row number 2. Chuck McClure's been up in the top 5 all night long as he'll share the third row with Tim Nofsker, Richard Martin, Brian Lovell, Birito, and Billy Elliser are going to be our top 10. As Kyle documented, Donnie Garrett got the free pass under this yellow, so all 39 remaining drivers will be on the lead lap. Only driver out of the race, the 56 of Jeffrey Elliott. So there are still a lot of points on the table, and there is still a lot of names that still want to keep themselves in the conversation, throw their name into the hat of maybe picking up a victory here tonight, locking themselves up a spot in the playoffs. And I might be wrong, but I believe it is next week. It might be the week after, but I believe it's 4 weeks or 5 weeks into the season that they begin their bracket challenge as well. So while we're talking about points and we're talking about positions, top 32 in points get thrown into that bracket challenge as well. Brian Schilling, a back-to-back champion of that. So, that's going to be interesting to kind of see as well, where drivers are seeded when that bracket challenge begins. Just south of halfway, green flag in the air. A little bit of a slower start there for Bob Seminara in that outside line. Oh, we got one in the wall back there. That's Robert Spring. Oh! And as he comes back up the track, he clips Pat McCarskey, and both cars go for a tumble. And
looks like McCarskey's burning, yeah.
Yep. Black smoke, that is terminal.
Never a good sign there for anybody. That happened right as they took the green flag too. So did somebody miss a shift and get run over from behind? I mean,
we've seen where missed shifts, stack-ups, trying to anticipate restarts have led to stack-ups here. And to your point, I think it's Glenn Harris may have missed a shift. Terry Bombard had to take evasive action and went up the track. And then Robert Spring, it's hard to tell if he comes up thinking he's clear on the 8 or if Harris comes down. Whatever the case, that Ohio State Buckeyes Toyota up into the wall, and then as he's trying to get the thing turned back around, he just, at the last minute, clips the back of Pat McCarskey, who also goes up and over.
Hearing that it's possibly a blown gear, I would guess, on the 8 car, but being talked over right now.
And we took a look from an aerial shot here too, and it looks like the 8 of Glenn Harris got a bump from behind by Donnie Cameron. That got him squirrely and kind of put him down into the right rear quarter panel of Robert Spring, spinning him around.
The spin on Spring is really weird looking. The car looks like it's almost stuck to the track, but then it just jumps out. Like right here, it looks, and then just shoots right into the McCarskey and just flips McCarskey around. It's a really weird spin.
That flip on the 97, that looked like a grip flip almost.
And the 74, the way that it kind of slung up into him, causing an engine failure. It's weird.
I would almost say that maybe the Robert Spring, where you mentioned there, Blaine, he almost looks like he's about to catch air there just before he hits the 197. I think that was also en route to being a grip flip. I think the backing up there, the momentum kind of had it counterweight, where it would have started barrel rolling on its right side, but then the contact from the 197 stopped it from happening.
Right.
I think the banking of turn 1 was kind of what was going to lead to a potential barrel roll for Robert Spring.
And now Spring is being shown a black flag.
Now the only reasons I can think that's a possibility,
chopping debris.
And I think it'll end up getting cleared. When we saw Glenn Harris miss a shift there, Robert Spring bypassed him on the inside line. And normally the game will give you a black flag for that. So I think that's the reason he's being issued the black flag here. It should end up being cleared, since obviously it was not a passive trying to jump somebody with somebody missing a shift. But that's the only reason I think the black flag's currently being issued
Right.
to the 074, and it looks like it has been cleared now.
Yeah, we're doing that restart situation where they have to clear a few every time.
Yep.
Noticed about half the field came down pit road under this caution, and we didn't even run one full green flag lap. That's when we took the green. So interesting move there.
I'm trying to figure that out, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that this would, for those drivers that came down pit road, this would put them in the window where on the final pit stop, they'd be able to take on a can and a half of fuel, whereas the drivers that stayed out, they would probably have to take on the full 2 cans to get home.
Doesn't matter how many times we come to this track, that fuel calculation is always key. And we try to predict it, but it's impossible. It's just when you think you got it figured out, something happens.
Now, we've seen a number of races come down to fuel mileage here at Talladega over the last couple of seasons that I've been a part of this broadcast team, and yeah, it's some of the craziest stuff you wouldn't expect to see on a super speedway, but it definitely comes into play quite a bit.
And when it comes down to those fuel strategy races, maybe none better than the guy on the outside of that front row. I think I could count on 2 hands the number of races we have seen Brian Schilling pull off miraculous fuel strategy, cross the line on fumes when we had everyone projected not going to be able to make it without pitting. He's able to find a way.
Guys like that will be like, oh yeah, no, he's definitely got to pit one more time. There's no way he can make it. And then there they are running out of gas 10 feet past the checkered flag. And just, how did they do it? I have no idea. Clutching, obviously. But when you're in the front row, it's hard to do that, but sometimes they still make it work.
I believe it was last season during the playoffs. We ended up seeing about 10 drivers that all tried to make it on fuel. 3 or 4 of them ran out of fuel on the last lap on the back straightaway. 6 of the remaining 7 ran out of fuel from turn 4 through the trial. It was Sean Prime that was able to somehow be able to just edge out Greg Lovell to pick up that victory. It was kind of, where do you focus the camera? Because just when you thought somebody was the race leader, they ran out of fuel and they got leapfrogged by somebody else.
Yeah, I've seen that too. That I've broadcast races just like that. You get down that last 4 or 5 laps and guys are like, engines are quitting left, right, and center. I don't know who to look at. I don't know what's going on. You're trying your best to keep on that leader, and then you got lap cars in the mix, and oh man, it's a lot of fun sometimes. It's insane. It can be pretty wild that we can be this entertained by a simulator that came out more than 20 years ago.
On this restart, keep an eye on the 088 of Tim Knopfsker. I was just informed that he does not have second gear.
And he's starting the outside of row 3, so we'll keep an eye on him. We have a lot of drivers right there behind him. Brian Lovell, Greg Lovell as well. See if he's able to get that quick shift up from first to third, maybe get a bump from the 044 to get him up to speed with the rest of the field. Denny Carroll and Brian Schilling, they're in a fisticuffs for that bonus point for most laps led. Brian's led 13. Denny's about to lead his 12th. It looks like Tim's going to jump up to that third lane to not cause any stack up. Going to hope that maybe he can tuck in line once he's able to shift up to third gear, but going to lose some spots at least here in the early going through 1 and 2.
I can hear him trying to make bets with some guys back there. Anybody want to give me a hand? See if anybody takes it.
Anybody? A gap? Anyone?
I think if somebody would jump up to the, you could give him a swat right now and he'd be totally fine.
It's like maybe a lane, a spot going to open up for him back there in front of Mark Paglia.
So from 6th at the line is where it scored him. And because he's missing, you said second?
Second gear, yep.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
It's usually the gear that I always choose to restart in, so that's a...
So from 6th to 18th. So if my calculations are correct, he lost... Oh, it's 25th. It just changed to 25th? I don't know what's going on. It said 18th and then it changed to 25th. I don't know. He's way back there now.
And he's back in the Hornet's nest, too. I mean, it is 3 wide, quite a number of rows deep there. Hagelin's in the middle, Dixon's in the middle, Seminara, Rodney Sullins. We haven't talked about Rodney Sullins hardly at all tonight. He has been very quiet this evening. He's in the middle of that Hornet's nest there, right behind Seminara.
Mangialardi up there in ninth. He was caught up in some stuff there earlier with Makarski. And now he's up here in ninth spot.
We saw Dante Ricky have his game freeze on the initial start of this race. He's now worked his way into the 4th position, right in front of Brian Schilling. So, good comeback run there for him. Solidly inside of the top 5. Javier Negron has now made his way into the top 10. And that tied ride, Robert Breedlove right behind him as well. So we're starting to see some new faces popping up here into the second half of this one, as looks like they're going to make their way around the 197 of Pat Makarski. Obviously, we saw the black smoke out from underneath his Dodge as he was leaving the scene of the accident between him and Robert Spring. So we know that car is definitely down on power, but this is looking kind of similar to what we saw Tim Nofsker do during the playoffs last season, where go out and run as many laps as you can, as many laps as that engine will allow you, because if we end up having other drivers run into trouble here tonight and finish out of the race, those are positions, those are points that Makarski can leapfrog, and those points could be very valuable when the checkered flag waves in the final regular season race.
I thought that was a terminal problem there for the 97, but anytime you see black smoke come out of a car in this game, that's never a good sign. He's able to keep it going. So that's really all that matters right now.
Yeah, I'm focused on him right here. He's doing about 158 mile an hour through the corner, so he's way off pace.
I mentioned at the beginning of the night, champion coming into this season, Jeremy Jeffries, now a 2-time Talladega Challenge champion. This has not been the start to the season for him. He's not exactly done all that well in terms of the random qualifying draw. He started very close to the rear of the field here tonight. We saw him have that bumper grab incident with Grant Wesley that brought out the second caution. And he comes into this race right now 13th in points. He has managed to get 2 top 10 finishes here in these first 3 races, but looking good right now. Last time by, scored in 12th, right behind Robert Breedlove, trying to get up here into the conversation. I gotta wonder, too, obviously we know that drivers have commented on, I might have just jinxed him as he's going to go around off the nose of Robert Breedlove, tried to shoot the middle, and there's more wrecking up ahead of him as well. There goes Hagelin, there goes Lauralee, Palmer, Breedlove. It is a parking lot out of turn 4.
I was focused on Hewlett during that. He drove through that whole thing.
That was a really tight 3 wide going into turn 3. Jeffries tried to shoot the middle, and I think he realized just how narrow that 3 wide was trying to bail out of it, get back down to the inside line, but then had himself in a bad situation with Breedlove to his left rear quarter panel. Again, though, a lot of drivers swept up in the incident ahead of his spin, but it didn't look like, at least from the initial look, as it happened live, it didn't look like anybody got any race-ending damage. Just a lot of sliding around for a number of drivers that kind of got clipped.
This looked like it was going to be a single-car incident with Jeffries. I'm not sure what happened to cause everybody else to wreck. See the contact right there with him and Breedlove.
Jeremy was trying to give room to the Lovels up above him.
This is Sandoval hard on the brakes, but it worked.
And it's hard to tell if Jeremy kind of came down to arc it into the corner. Looked like Breedlove pushed up just a little bit as well.
Breedlove and Mangialardi looked like they almost had a little bit of a roadblock going for half a second, so that just made everybody scatter, I think.
Well, you talk about Doug Kulik, you were focused on him. That was a great job getting through that wreck. Greg Palmer, back end of his car, popped up into the air. Billy Elliser ended up getting a piece. So too did Josh Metallic and Tim Nofsker. I mentioned about Hagelin, Donnie Cameron, Jessica Loreley all getting swept up into it.
Pit road is a busy place.
I don't think we can make it to the finish here. But I think it would put us at around maybe a half can short of getting the checkered flag.
So you're definitely going to see some guys coming down, topping up before this yellow flag situation is complete.
During this caution flag, a major accomplishment. Cody Lamas says he finally led a lap in RTGs. He said he can now retire.
Cody started shotgun on the field here tonight. History in the making for the Lowe's Chevrolet. There were a couple of other drivers that I didn't mention there on that list that got bits and pieces of that wreck. Mark Aglia and Grant were also involved in that wreck off of turn 4. A number of drivers going to lose some position getting swept up in that incident, but we've seen during the course of night and during the course of this season, drivers are able to pack rear of the field if they can find the right line, the right momentum, the right drafting partners. They can find themselves up inside of the top 5 as many as 7-8 laps into a run. I don't know how they're able to do it that quickly, but they are able to sometimes.
Well, you mentioned it under the last caution. I think you were reading my mind there about 41 being the pole sitter. That first pit stall paying dividends. Looks like it did yet again there for Denny Cole. Looks like he's going to be the leader once again on this restart.
We mentioned that Denny Carroll went into this race second in points. Of course, got that victory a couple of weeks ago. He's only 2 points behind Chuck McClure for the overall points lead. And we don't maybe put as much emphasis on regular season champion, but we really should, because the regular season champion at the conclusion of race 9 ends up getting some valuable bonus points towards the first round of the playoffs. It's not an automatic lock into the next round, but it does put them with a bit of a comfort bubble between them and the cut line. So definitely a lot of drivers end up putting some focus on race wins, yes, but consistency to have them at the top of the point standings and get those valuable points heading into the postseason. Josh Metallic, we saw him get swept up in that latest incident. He came in tonight third in points, 10 points back, with Brian Schilling 16 points back in fourth, and John Godfrey 19 points back in the fifth position. Grant Wesley, after his victory last week, jumped up from outside of the top 15 to 6th in the standings, 23 points back. And, you know, drivers have mentioned to us, it seems like every Thursday night, they say it is so difficult to win these races because everybody here is so good and so capable of winning. It makes the job very difficult. Well, you got to think, too, in terms of super speedway racing, it's got to be very difficult to remain consistent throughout the regular season. Chuck McClure is the only driver in these first 3 races that has been able to net a top 10 in all 3 races. There are a handful that have got 2 top 10s, but he's the only one that's finished in the top 10 every single race so far here in season 66.
Was it 2 seasons ago that Brian Schilling had a top 10 finish in every single race in the regular season?
Wow. Really?
Yep.
Yes.
That's crazy, especially when you get into this situation like we have tonight with knockout qualifying. You've got 40 to 50 people showing up for a 41-car race. And you talk about consistency. That's wild. Thank our sponsors, too. Redline Performance Motorsports. Check it out. I got it right this week. Rodney Sellens Paints. Those guys are in cahoots. And we thank them for bringing Tarnation TV and Flatout Racing Network together. simulcast on this station. I say this station even though it's on both Tarnation TV and Flatout Racing Network. What's the @ on YouTube for Flatout Racing? It's Flatout Racing Network Live?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah. Then this one's just Tarnation TV. Nobody used that silly word.
Little gamesmanship I saw right there. I don't know if they were trying to catch the rest of the field out, but I noticed something untoward going on there. Brian Schilling, Chuck McClure, they were double wide, and then Chuck tucked in behind Brian as they exited out of turn 4. Saw them make a last-minute dive onto pit lane there, along with John Godfrey, Mark Paglia, and others. So we're getting some fuel strategy right here, approaching 20 laps to go. I'm not 100% certain what the difference would be here of coming to pit road now, just kind of working the calculations. Oh, I don't know. Is this a call to pit road where they feel they'd have enough fuel to make it the rest of the way? Are they going to need another caution to save just enough to be able to get to the conclusion? I'm not sure exactly what the game plan is here, but looks like a handful of drivers. They're giving up the track position here, maybe banking on this thing going green and maybe being able to save enough, not have to come to pit road for the remainder of the night.
My scoring is showing Wah in first, but is that right? I thought it was Carroll in the 41.
It's showing 41 in second on the screen right now. So.
They might have just got really close at the
Randy
line.
may have accidentally bypassed the 41 when they came around this last time on the crossing the start-finish line. Denny Carroll should be the control car here on this restart. Denny has led 19 laps up to this point, so currently in possession of that most laps led bonus point. Look for his second win in the season, second win of his career, 2 weeks removed from getting his first career win in the series. As he'll get us back underway, it's going to be a total of 21 laps to go, which is about a lap and a half to 2 laps outside of the median window that we're usually told drivers can go on a green flag run.
Unless you're Schilling from what you're saying before. He's made that last, so he might be able to pull it off.
I'm going to be very interested to watch him, McClure, Paglia, a bunch of those guys that came to pit road on the 1 to green. Did they just ride at the back, or do they try charging forward? If we see them moving forward, that says to me they're still short on fuel, and they're going to probably need a caution to save them. If they ride at the back for a good portion of this run, that says to me that maybe they're going to have enough to be able to get to the checkered flag. It's going to really depend on how aggressive they get here.
Dante with a move to the outside. Looks like it might work. Yep.
Getting a nice push there from the 21 of Randy Luigi.
He's got that prominently on the rear decklet of his car there as well. Third line forming, Rodney Sullen's up there with Grant Wesley, Doug Hulick, and others.
He just mentioned a little while ago, it's been a pretty quiet race so far for that 38, and look where he's at now.
Yeah.
Rodney's 17th in points coming into tonight. Third car on the inside line's Greg Lovell. He started in the final row here this evening, maybe trying to pull off the almost last to first challenge, as now it looks like the 21 and the 044, they're going to get freight trained in that middle line. Oh!
I just focused on Bernie Mobbs. I was going to say, he's got the fastest lap out here tonight at 201.2 miles per hour, and he got tangled up in that wreck right there.
So too did Bob Seminara, Tim Nofsker, Mark Paglia. These are quite a number of drivers that actually came to pit road at the 1 to green to top off the fuel tank. Nofsker has not refired his race car. He's actually, looks like, may have either teleported to pit road, which indeed that is the case.
Oh, getting a tow.
Yeah, we'll have to see if his hit may have been enough to kill the engine or not.
Would it be faster from just crossing the line to just call for a tow truck? I don't think so, because that's the longest tow. Yeah,
much slower.
Yeah, that's a really long tow.
Got a little bit of a stack up there in that middle line.
Man, Seminara did not see that coming. Holy moly. The
Almost up into
bumper of
the
that.
catch fence for him.
Yeah, the bumper comes around. Sent him for a ride.
He's
What's
right
that
behind
look like, I
Breedlove.
wonder? I wonder what that looks like looking out the side. Let's go to the left side of Seminara here and see.
They all stacked up there with Knopfsker having to check up for Breedlove. Paglia was into the back of him. I'm almost wondering, I'm curious, because it looked like the amount of ground between Knopfsker and Breedlove happening so quickly. I'm almost wondering if maybe Knopfsker threw in the clutch and Paglia wasn't ready for that. Yeah, it was hard to tell if he threw in the clutch or not. But he definitely got hit from behind, and then massive contact with both himself and Bob Seminara.
Also,
Yes.
under caution, I was just told that somebody spun out that was near the front of the field. Couldn't really tell who it was exactly, but
Figure out who that was. Like the field was trying to catch up to the pace car on the back straightaway. Johnny Cameron in the 87, I believe, on the back straightaway, getting a bump from behind by the 931 of Robert Breedlove. They're kind of stacked up there, along with Billy Elliser. And a lot of drivers came down pit road here, because we would now be within the window for everyone to be able to make it on fuel, including the race leader Denny Carroll. A bunch of those drivers that came down pit road at the 1 to green, they have elected to stay out. So this may have been exactly the caution that they were looking for to save that extra lap and a half that they might have been short of had we gone green to the end.
check it showing Jeremy Jeffries right now as the race leader. What a up and down race it's been for him so far.
Pat McCarski's going to get the free pass here. I'm still a little curious about the Tim Knopfsker car, because yes, there was obviously some pretty violent contact between him and Bob Seminara, but most of the impact for the 088 was to the rear end of the car, not the front where the engine is housed. And Seminara was able to drive his race car that visibly had a lot more damage back to pit road. Knopfsker's car stayed stalled in the infield grass on the inside of 1 and 2, so it looks like he is still sitting in his stall. I'm not 100% certain what's gone on with him. Didn't even see any black smoke out from underneath his race car, so try and see if he's going to be able to continue this race or not.
The 63 of Keith Bynum has just retired as well due to accident.
I was noticing that as well, and I don't remember him being caught up in that wreck, or at least not getting massive contact in it, so I'm not 100% certain just exactly why he'd be out of the race. He actually avoided the wreck in turn 1. I'm gonna check back and see if I can figure out exactly what happened to him, because he's had a pretty clean night.
Yeah.
Might be something that happened on pit road. Oh, it was.
Him and Ulysses got together, it looks like.
Yep.
Oh, okay, there it is. I got it.
Yeah, Keith was trying to get into his pit stall. Ulysses was leaving his pit to make contact, and Bynum was waiting for everybody to go by before turning his car around, and never did. Interesting that they would classify the reason for retiring out of the race as accident, because there was very minimal contact there, and I doubt that even gave his car damage, but looks like officially Tim Knopfsker has also been pushed back behind the wall. So back-to-back tough points nights for Knopfsker. Obviously, last week was by choice, but this week caught up in that massive accident going into turn one.
What was the reason given for Knopfsker? Was it a gearbox, or was it damage? Or
just says accident for him as well.
Bynum is stuck in the wall. He got the nose in the wall, and he can't back up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're just on the replay, just watching him spin his tires, trying to get off the wall, and he's stuck inside the wall. That's bad. Because that damage would not have ended his day. But apparently, he went in on just right enough, or just on the perfect angle where he got stuck there, and he couldn't get out. Look who's in first.
See that very often.
The number 1.
Yes, indeed.
He was involved in a big wreck back there a few laps ago, too.
Trying to make some lemonade out of lemons is the defending champion, as green flag back in the air with 15 laps to go. Everybody should be able to make it on fuel now at this point. Richard Martin going to try and slot into second place as that middle line thunders down the back straightaway. Chuck McClure with Craig Hagley. And that Davey Allison throwback now up there inside of the top 5. Great run for him here in the closing stages of this race. Got some movement back in the latter half of the top 10, maybe just outside of the top 10. They're trying to get a third line going. 21 of Randy Waugh. There's Donnie Garrett, who was multiple laps down in this race. Started from pit road, was caught up in an incident off of turn 4. I think he was as much as 3 laps down at one point. Got the lucky dogs, and now he's up here trying to fight into the top 15. Josh Metallic to his outside. It was a close call here tonight for Metallic. He was having some hardware issues. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to race tonight. Last minute, got all the issues fixed.
Yeah, he was saying that he lost a motherboard, so I guess he found it.
I guess so.
That outside line, that far outside line being led by the 22, is that Greg Palmer?
Yes, it is.
That Hooters Alan Kowicki throwback last night. I showed some support for that sponsor last night at my dinner, so nice to see that Hooters car up there.
Another driver that's had an adventurous night. The back end of that machine was halfway up into the air, crossing the start-finish line earlier on tonight.
$29 around.
Oh, trouble.
Mangialardi, Breedlove, Mark Paglia, Milt Surratt, and Bernie Mobbs. And then there was a follow-up spin just past the start-finish line involving Donnie Garrett. So a couple of incidents here, one bringing out the caution, one coming to the yellow, as I believe we are in the vicinity now of race back.
I think the 29 may have bumper grabbed off the 48 there. And
then everybody else behind just kind of getting swept up into it there. Breedlove and Surratt, Paglia. Brian Lovell also got a piece as he kind of got bodied up into the outside wall. And then I think Donnie Garrett, yeah, he goes to the grass to avoid this incident. And as he's coming back up onto the racing surface, I think he's going to clip the 111 of Ron Hagelin as they're making their way back to the caution in the start-finish line. So if the drivers that came to pit road at the 1 to green 2 cautions ago were still short on fuel, this is an insurance caution for them. I don't going to see anybody coming to pit lane the remainder of this race outside of maybe tires if they spin out or damage repair. Like everybody has made their final trips into their pit stall at this point in time. Everyone's going to now be putting the emphasis on track position for these upcoming potential final restarts. Just double checking here. It looks like only Brian Schilling can be a competitor with Denny Carroll still for that most laps led bonus point. Carroll has led 21 laps here tonight after starting from the pole and leading most, if not all, of our restarts. Everybody else, there's not enough laps left in this race to be able to challenge Denny for that bonus point. So unless Schilling's able to get up here and lead 9 more laps, and we're going to be going back green, I believe, somewhere around that point, Denny is going to get a valuable bonus point here tonight. Kind of interesting as well, the driver that he's chasing for the regular season championship is just up ahead of him, going to be the race leader here in Chuck McClure.
Another thing to keep in mind here, and I should have mentioned this as we went green under that last restart. At this point in the race, it is a race back, so anytime there's a caution.
Pat McCarskey got the lucky dog under the last yellow. That put him back on the lead lap. There are 37 remaining drivers, all on the same lap as the race leader, Chuck McClure. See if we get the light on the pace car. If we do, looks like we'll be going back green with 9 laps remaining here tonight. 6th caution so far here this evening. Start doubling up and get ready here. What maybe might be the final restart of the night, but we're definitely seeing here, after we cross the halfway threshold, seeing a lot of drivers very quickly jumping up to that 3rd line, trying to get the track position that they don't have being mired mid-pack rear of the field. It's making things really, really interesting once they start venturing up into the top 10, top 5, race lead, a lot of movement. We've seen a lot of bumper grab come into play here tonight, so we may not be done with yellows here this evening at Talladega.
We're just taking a look at the Dales that are driving the pace car here. Just a couple of Dales out for a drive. Cool looking pace car too. Tribute to David Cannon.
Yeah, great work by John Godfrey and Rodney Sullins on that tribute pace car. Matter of fact, October 4th on FRN, going to be having the special event, the tribute race to David Cannon, the 00300 tribute race. Going to be a first time for FRN where we're going to be broadcasting 2 qualifying races simultaneously. Top 20 of those 2 qualifying races will participate in the main event. Could be an interesting one. Going to have heads on a swivel for that race for sure. You're going to see a lot of the drivers that are racing here tonight participating in those qualifying races and hoping to make it into the main event. So here we go. Green flag back in the air. It's going to be 9 laps remaining. Craig Hagley got a good launch there, and he actually edged out McClure, got himself a lap led by a splitter. So that's a bonus point to the 82 car.
So that tribute race to David Cannon is not it's not an invitational. It's a come on down and qualify for the main event kind of thing.
Yes, correct.
Cool. That's cool. And if you're broadcasting the qualifying races, that gets everybody involved with the broadcast too, which is nice.
Sounds like a Saturday night race on dirt. Got a couple of heat races get into the feature.
Yeah, pretty much. Except you're running the 2 heat races at the exact same time. Got McClure looking to be the first 2-time winner here in season 66. This is kind of reminding me of the situation Grant Wesley was in 1 week ago when we ended up having less than 10 to go on a restart. He was the control car. He was able to pretty much manipulate the lanes and was able to keep everyone in his rearview mirror to pick up the checkered flag, locking him into the postseason. We'll see if McClure can do the same here, as now Denny Carroll's got himself cleared into the 2nd spot. Jeremy Jeffries trying to do the same in 3rd. Do they end up having any thoughts of maybe jumping up there to the outside of the 17?
Everybody trying to get that far outside line going. It's like Richard Martin currently leading that line, but now he's got Dante Ricky right in front of him. Oh, Ulysses was up there. Now he gets caught in the middle.
Oh, Metallic down into Elliser. Impact for himself and Brian Rawson. Rawson's going to get clobbered by Ron Hagelin. Caution flies again. We should have enough laps for a restart, but that is 3rd in the point standings. Josh Metallic, who along with Rawson was up above, I believe, the upper level of the catch fence off of turn 2. And as we race back here to the caution, Jeremy Jeffries has gotten around McClure. Here comes Despirito. Here comes Hagley. Ho! 3 wide photo finish. I think Despirito may have just edged them both.
I think he did.
Scoring says it was 1/100th from 1st to 3rd crossing the line there.
What if that had been the finish right there? My goodness. Shades of the Truck Series race at Daytona in 2003. That 3-wide finish with Rick Crawford, Robert Presley, and Travis Quapple.
Well, it wasn't the race for the checkered flag, but maybe just as importantly, it was the race to be the control car on the upcoming restart. We've said it a number of times tonight. I think we're going to have to say it again. The dreaded bumper grab, I believe, was the reason for this most recent yellow. Ryan Rawson
really tell there.
Into the back of Josh Metallic. Billy Elliser, Javier Negron, Bob Seminara all involved. I don't believe Rawson was able to drive away from the incident.
Might have to go on board with the 39, Eric. I can't tell if he bumper grabbed off the 38 or if the 6 got into it. Well,
yeah, maybe.
39 went flying.
Metallic got into the back of Sullins, and then the bumpers weren't lined up as Rawson came up onto the 39, flipped him in the left rear quarter panel.
Rawson's been off the ground a couple times tonight, unfortunately.
Yes, he has. And I think that kind of a byproduct of that wreck right there was Dante Ricky moved up in front of that outside line as they were entering into turn 1. That kind of forced Richard Martin to go up a half lane, make sure he didn't bump him going into the corner, and then it just kind of had everybody trying to figure out what kind of momentum, how close can I be to the driver in front of me, and Rawson, I believe, was the 6th driver in line of that group. It's very, very difficult to communicate the checkup that's taking place at the front of the field to drivers that are mid-pack in time before contact is initiated.
What a ride on board with Rawson. Holy moly.
What a time to lose connection, too. I'm glad I'm back in here now.
think that's going to be Rawson's night over. Such a shame as we saw him work his way from the back of the pack up to the front, led a lap earlier on this evening. Was in the top 15 at the time that incident occurred, but able to drive away from the incident. He's sitting on pit road right now, more than likely going to get credited for 37th place here tonight.
Update from Bynum in the YouTube chat on my side, on the Tarnation TV side of things here. We thought that he got stuck in the wall on pit road. He actually lost reverse. The transmission would not allow him to back up. And he was perpendicular to that wall. So no matter what he did, he needed someone to bump him or call for a tow truck, I guess. But
yeah, I didn't take the opportunity. I kind of wish I had, when we were looking back at incident, to see where he was in relation to his pit stall.
Mm-hmm.
If he had spun ahead of his stall, then obviously that would have been a super lengthy amount of time sitting on pit road with calling a tow. But if he had been either right on or maybe just before his pit stall, I almost wonder if maybe calling a tow could have saved him. I'm going to assume that more than likely with the contact, the time of the contact between him and Ulysses, he was slid past his pit stall. So that's a tough break there for Keith.
Because I know, yeah, the tow truck would have to tow you all the way around to your pit stop. So if you're past it, but is it the pit stall or is it the pit entrance?
It's the pit stall.
Oh, it's the stall. Okay.
So basically what happens is the game registers at the time you call the tow truck how long it would take under pacing, which is 70 miles per hour from that spot on the racetrack, how long at 70 miles per hour it would take for you to get from there to your pit stall. That's how it calculates the length of amount of time that your tow takes.
Okay. I didn't know if it was a stall or the entrance. So yeah, if he was before his stall, it would have only been like a 20-second tow. But if he's past it, now you're talking like a minute or two, depending, I guess.
Yep.
On a track like this, it's almost 2 minutes, I think.
And from what I understand, I could be wrong in this, but I believe that 70 miles per hour is, at least in terms of the game registering, is the fastest that a pacing lap can go. I mean, you can set in the INI, you could have 90, 100 miles per hour for a pacing lap, but the game itself will always register the max pace lap speed at 70 miles per hour. So that's obviously, this is the maximum that you can have in terms of a racetrack at 70 miles per hour. And with it being a lengthy racetrack like Talladega Super Speedway, that is a pretty long amount of time that you'd be sitting on pit road. You'd almost certainly lose one lap under a caution period.
Right.
How do you guys feel about a 3-lap shootout?
I've seen them a time or two. Should be fun.
Joe DeSpirito was able to edge out Jeremy Jeffries coming to that last caution. They'll share the front row with Hagley, McClure, Palmer, Carroll, the first 3 rows. Next flag will certainly end the race. If they get the white, they'll get to race back to the checkers. But if a caution comes out between now and the white flag waving, they're racing back to the proverbial end of this race under caution conditions.
Jeffries did get credit with that last lap being led.
Joe DeSpirito, multi-time champion here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Currently clear of both lanes. 21st in points coming in tonight. Only one top 10 in the first 3 races. Got to keep an eye on the momentum of that outside line. Does he stay committed to that yellow line on the inside, or does he think about going up and blocking Jeremy?
We haven't talked a whole lot about the Spirito either tonight, but it's up front when it counts.
2 laps to go. DeSpirito got that lap led. He's able to get about maybe a car length ahead of Jeffries off the corner, but then that momentum surges in that middle line on the straightaways. Here comes Jeffries. Big head of steam. Half a car length advantage going into 3 with help from McClure.
I wonder when DeSpirito makes the lane change. Still early because we got a couple laps left, but
Right now, if you're DeSpirito, that third lane is your best friend, and there you see Dante Ricky, Richard Martin jumping up there. He wants the momentum to go away from that middle line. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Jeffrey's trying to stay in touch. DeSpirito clear again off of turn 2. Jeffries is going to need a massive shove.
Uh-oh.
He almost got shoved there by Craig Hagley, who got loose on that inside line. Here comes McClure to the top 3 wide.
That's going to hurt Jeffries right there. He's got nobody behind him.
That's going to hurt them all. That helps the inside line. Now Craig Hagley going to get clear for second. Does he try something on DeSpirito? Looking to the right rear.
Oh, my.
Door is
Spirit
open.
back to the bottom.
Trying to cover. McClure going to go 3. We're 4 wide.
The line.
5 wide
Joe
coming to the line.
turns it.
Joe DeSpirito with the victory. Now they wreck after they cross the start-finish line, but we were leaning on each other almost 5 wide for 2nd through 6th coming to the checkered flag.
Somebody spun us. They were coming to the checkered flag. I think that was the 4 of Brian Schilling. It was a yellow car, if I'm not mistaken.
3 out of the 4 races so far have been won by former Tally Challenge champions. Joe DeSpirito going to be the latest to add his name to that list, looking to lock himself into the postseason here in season 66.
I love how everybody in the first 3 or 4 rows wanted to win that thing coming out of the trioval. That was awesome.
I didn't know this track could hold him 5 wide, but I guess we just proved it can.
I didn't know what camera angle to use, so I just put it there and let it sit. We'll go back and look at it in a replay here shortly. Stay tuned to the post-race interviews, because I'll just be going back running replays of that.
Brand new version of Talladega Super Speedway version 4. Joe DeSpirito going to christen it with his tire rubber. Mentioned he came into tonight's race 21st in points. This victory is going to propel him up into the top 20, where he'll need to remain for the final 5 regular season races to be playoff eligible. And the signature reverse burnouts by Joe DeSpirito here. Greg Palmer crossed the line in 2nd, Craig Hagley in 3rd, and just a little over a 1/10 of a second separated 1st through 5th coming to the checkered flag. Chuck McClure's top 10 streak of 4 in a row will continue. Brought it home in the 5th position. Denny Carroll led the most laps tonight at 19. Last week's winner, Grant Wesley, finished in 4th.
I think he blew it up.
I think he might have too. That's okay. You don't need it anymore.
Nope. Yeah, we're done. Just get a new one for next week.
What a crazy run to the checkered flag here tonight. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that all 4 of our races this season have finished under green flag conditions. We've not yet had a race end under caution. And yeah, we were not quite 5 wide. We were 4 wide crossing the line, but we were 4 wide for 1 row, 3 wide for another row. You mentioned about Brian Schilling there, Kyle. I believe he got bumped down to the apron, but still managed to cross the start-finish line in 12th.
Wow.
Well, it was definitely contested for those final couple of spots on the podium, as Grant Wesley went to the inside, Chuck McClure went to the outside, but Craig Hagley was able to hold on for P3, his first top 5 on the season. Let's see if we can dial up the driver of that Davey Allison throwback. Hey, Craig, it's the guys up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Wow, you had quite a scenario there coming out of turn 4. The middle line kind of dissipated. The third line kind of faded back. You're clear in the second position. We saw you make that move up there to the outside trying to get this race win, but then you're stacked up 3 wide. You're 4 wide coming to the checkered flag. How difficult does that make it to kind of figure out, do I need to be offense or defense?
I should have probably been playing a whole lot more defense and stayed on the low line there, but they got wild there at the end for sure.
We've talked about a lot of drivers here. The first couple races of the season, it's not been all that great. It's been tough sledding. Coming into this race, you were situated 25th in points, yet to score a top 10. Not only do you score one here tonight, but you bring it home in the top 5, solidly on the podium. What do you think this does in terms of momentum now for you as we head close to the halfway point of the regular season?
I'll just slowly but surely start digging myself back out of that hole I put myself on the first race. But not only making it 2 laps really sucks whenever it's the first race of the year. So
obviously, we ended up seeing a lot of drivers in the second half of this race play some different strategies. It looks like you were one of those drivers. I think it was the third to last caution. You came down pit road, you topped off the fuel tank at the 1 to green. Following caution, you stayed out to, obviously, as we saw, maintain that track position. How difficult has it been here in these races as well to kind of figure out what the right strategy is based off the timing of the yellows?
well, everything's so competitive and passing so hard that you got to try and figure out some spot to pick up an advantage. And I rolled the dice there, like you said, there towards the end, and gambled that we would have at least another extra pit or extra caution lap there so I could be able to make it, because I was maybe going to come across on fumes if we hadn't.
Well, congratulations on a job well done here tonight, scoring that first top 5 of the season. As I said, hopefully this is a sign of turning things around and getting those consistent finishes here for this 82 car as you try and make a push towards a playoff position. Before we let you go here, Craig, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thank you. First off, I want to thank Rodney Sellens for the paint. It's a beautiful car. He paints so many beautiful cars out here. I want to thank all my teammates, especially Palmer, helping push me up through there, Rawson, everybody. It was great to be out here racing with everybody. And Jeremy, I'm sorry that I come up into you there on the last lap there. I wasn't trying to door bump you or slow you down. I promise, buddy.
Craig Hagley brings it home solidly in the 3rd position here tonight at Talladega. Congratulations once again on a great run and a heck of a battle there coming to the start-finish line through the trioval.
Thanks, guys, and thanks everybody here that puts all this on. I appreciate everything y'all do.
Craig Hagley on the podium here tonight as the halfway point of the season now approaches. Let's see if we can get a hold of the driver that brought it home in the 2nd position here this evening. Let's dial up Greg Palmer. Hey, Greg, this guy's up here in the broadcast booth. Got a copy?
Hello.
Hey, 9th in points coming into tonight. Pretty good, consistent start to the season. Almost able to pull off the victory this evening. Another solid run with a runner-up finish, but wow, that was crazy coming through the tri-oval here. We know that this racetrack is spacious, but 4 wide for 2nd place coming down to the stripe there. Was there anything that you were doing that helped you hold them off, or were you just praying you had the momentum and they didn't?
Man, I was doing more than praying there, Seth. I'll tell you. I was staying where I was, and I was helping Craig Hagley, and I saw the outside moving, so I told him, move up. You could pass the Spirito, but the Spirito got in front of him, so I stayed on the inside, and I just prayed for the best. Right place, right time. I finished 2nd. I couldn't be happier.
One of the things that we love about super speedway racing is there'll be times where drivers, they'll run into issues first half of the race, and then we'll see second half of the race, they're up in the top 5, top 10s. Like, where in the world did they come from? Your rear tires were off the ground at one point in this race. Obviously, it didn't seem to affect the speed of this race car, but what kind of a process, how easy, how difficult was it to gain that track position back, be up here at the end?
I didn't get that position until the end. I was always late 20s, middle 20s, high teens, back to the 20s. But I guess towards the end, saving a little gas and not taking tires, just getting a splash, and I just gotta play with the big boys play. Same card game. No tires, fuel, splash, whatever, and hope for the best. Really, hope another caution comes out, and it did. I stayed out, and here I am talking to you.
Hey, and also, we've seen during the course of these first 3, we can now include tonight 4 races on the season. Drivers have been up and down. A lot of drivers have been completely down and trying to find some momentum. Mentioned you came in tonight 9th in points. You're going to keep yourself solidly inside of the top 10. What kind of formula have you maybe been able to find to have this consistency right out of the gate?
You said formula? I don't have one.
I have to ask, because maybe there's something.
It's all luck. I mean, it's all luck. I mean, I said this time and time before. Whenever I'm in the booth with you and Blaine and Kyle, it's always the right place at the right time. It's staying out. Excuse me. I'm eating the peanut butter thing.
Yeah.
It's staying out, hoping for a caution so you can save fuel. Right place, right time. It worked out. It seriously, it worked out.
What kind of peanut butter thing are you eating? It sounds scrumptious.
What is this called? It is called
God.
Nature Valley Sweet and Salty Nut.
Oh my God. I just ate dinner, but I'm getting hungry.
I gotta lose a few pounds. So
I love peanut butter, so that sounds pretty good.
Well, Greg, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Going to certainly move up in the point standings for sure. Points are as close as they are. This may end up putting you up in the top 5 in points when we get to next week's race. We'll have to wait and see, but a great start to the season for you. A podium finish here tonight in 2nd. Before we let you go and enjoy the rest of that Nature's Valley bar there, we're going to turn it over to you for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thank you. Thanks, Seth. Thanks to you guys in the booth making this broadcast very possible. Thank you to the admins here, Rodney and Jeremy and Josh and Timmy, everybody, all of them. I miss Bone so much. I wish he was here, man, but he's looking down on us every race, man. He's laughing. My teammates, Rodney, Godfrey, Hagley, Rasson, Paglia. We had a good time tonight. I wasn't leaving Hagley. I wasn't leaving him at all. I was staying with them right to the end. So I'm glad he finished. He got 3rd. That's what we can hope for. And yeah, that's it, boys. I'll see you next week. Hopefully I'll be in a booth again.
You didn't
Sounds
thank
good.
Nature's Valley.
Yeah. Need a Nature's Valley logo on that car somewhere next week.
Someone might have to paint up one of them now.
I'm going to have to talk to Rodney.
Greg, congratulations on the great run here tonight, and hopefully continue to see this consistency here as we approach the halfway of this regular season.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Palmer bringing it home P2 as Dark Horse Mustangs make up 2/3 of the podium, but it's a Chevrolet that picks up the victory here tonight. Let's see if we can dial up the driver of that number 24, Joe DeSpirito. Hey, Joe, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey guys, I got you.
Man, I'll tell you what, so we talk about a lot of drivers here. First 3 races of the season, it's been up, it's been down. Definitely been the case here for you and this Chevrolet Camaro, but here tonight, all up as you go to victory lane. You leapfrog from 21st to 11th in the standings. You're now solidly locked into the playoffs, but I have to ask, was there any plan to try and block any of those upper lanes? I don't, maybe not as much there in the first 3/4 of this race, but you had them stacked up 4 wide behind you through the tri-oval. Was there anything you were thinking about of, am I safe down here against this yellow line, or do I need to move up and block something?
Just communicating with my guys, asking them, if the 3rd lane is coming. But it had been coming all night, so I was kind of committed to the bottom. I just kind of wrote it out. And Palmer, was it not Palmer? It was the 82 went high on me at the end there, and I just kind of pushed him as high as I could. And then I saw Palmer come, and I dove in front of him. But I was mostly committed to the bottom with the 3rd lane all night.
There always seems to be that certain portion of a race that we look back at and think that might have been the difference maker. If we go back to that last caution, 3 wide between yourself, McClure, and Jeffries to pick up that caution flag, you ended up having your splitter hit the line first, making you the control car for the final restart. How crucial was that for you to then be able to have a defensive plan on that final restart?
Yeah, that was the turning point. There was another turning point last week too, where I kind of missed out on the first position there. But yeah, tonight I made sure to make sure it was mine, and that was the turning point. I had the bottom, and I rode the bottom all around and took it. Those little moves make a big difference.
So far, we've seen here the former winners, whether it be McClure, Carroll, Wesley. It seems like after they've gotten a checkered flag and locked themselves in the postseason, they've been a little bit more aggressive, whether it's in the racing style to stay up front or maybe in pit strategy. How does this change the mentality of the driver of the 24 going forward with a win now in your hip pocket?
Yeah, makes me be able to be a little more aggressive, frees it up a little bit, which is nice. I had a bad start to the season, 35th place finishes, and I just had to stay patient, and so far it's been working out. So being locked in is real nice.
Congratulations on the job well done here tonight. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here in just a moment. Nice to see those legendary reverse burnouts here this evening as well. Been a while since we've seen those. We're going to give the opportunity here for some thank you sponsors and shout outs, Joe.
Appreciate it, guys. I want to thank everybody at RTG. Josh doing the adminning on Thursday nights. I want to thank you guys at FRN. I want to thank some of the sponsors, Race LM, Sullins Paints, Redline Performance Motorsports. I want to thank my guys at Mobs Motors, and everybody watching at home, my Uncle T, LC, Dan, and all my work buddies. Thanks, guys.
Joe DeSpirito brings it home with the victory here tonight, locking himself into the playoffs. He'll still have 5 more regular season races to try and maybe rack up some more bonus points as he gets himself ready to run for another championship here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Congratulations on the victory here tonight. Go enjoy it. Best of luck next week.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Joe DeSpirito becoming the 4th different winner in as many races here in season 66. 75% of our race winners have been former champions here, so definitely making a case for a multi-time champion by the end of the season, but there's still a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, 3 former champions and 1 first-time winner so far are the winners that we've gotten in the first 4 races, so interesting parity.
Also interesting in the fact that coming into tonight, it was 2-point separation, McClure over Carroll. Not much changed, only 1 point difference between them now. 3 points separation from McClure back to Denny Carroll. Grant Wesley sitting 3rd in the standings now, and then we mentioned DeSpirito jumping up to 11th. But hey, give a shout out to a bunch of drivers as well that have been consistent in these first 4 races that are up inside of the top 10. Brian Schilling, Greg Palmer, who we just talked with, Randy Waugh, John Godfrey, Bernie Mobbs. I mean, the consistency is there. We're just not yet seeing them close out with a victory. It could be as soon as next week.
No, definitely could. You keep putting yourself in a position to win a race, it's good. It'll eventually happen. So if those guys just keep doing what they're doing, it might just fall into their lap here pretty soon.
What an incredible race here tonight. Joe DeSpirito able to hold him off 4 wide for second to be able to pick up his first win on the season and lock himself into the season 66 playoffs for the Talladega Challenge Series. We thank you all for joining us here tonight. We're right back here again Thursday night as we'll bring you race number 5, the midway portion of the regular season, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, simulcasted on Tarnation TV and the Flatout Racing Network. Again, we already mentioned it, but it's worth repeating. Be sure to join us this Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The green flag will fly on the 2025 Breast Cancer Awareness Race for the Cure special event organized by Nate Balser. Myself and Blaine going to be bringing you coverage of that one. Should be a great race for a great cause. You're not going to want to miss it. But again,
You have an event coming up here pretty soon on FRN, don't you?
The Canyon Tribute Race?
Oh, the Canyon Tribute Race.
Talladega?
Oh, that's not an
yeah.
FRN.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
Nope, that's not an FRN. That's off broadcast.
Okay, I thought it was. Sorry.
I was going to say, too, before you wrap it up, I love looking at this export right now. Excuse me. The top 30 cars within 1 second of each other going over that line.
Oh, yeah.
Just, I looked at it in the replay, and you were right. We had multiple instances of 4 wide coming to that stripe, so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, drivers mentioned it's so difficult to win. Sometimes it's so difficult to finish top 5 or top 10 when you're in the middle of a 3 wide or 4 wide formation. Every point matters, and we're going to definitely be keeping an eye on that around that 12th in the standings cut line for the remainder of the regular season. But thank you all for joining us here tonight for our coverage of race number 4. Congratulations once again to Joe DeSpirito on his victory. We'll see you guys next week to continue on the 66th season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. For Blaine, Donlin, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for joining us on the Flatout Racing Network and Tar Nation TV. We'll see you next week.